Hey, you guys, what's going on? I am Jamie Dawn, your revolutionary astrologer. And this is your celestial wisdom for the week of April 14th through the 21st of 2024. And thank you for your time and patience with me as I was serving in my role as staff director at Nine Gates Mystery School. We just graduated another class. It was really potent and powerful, beautiful, and it just that work to watch and witness a group of individuals come alive and to awaken to their own truth and their own inner wisdom that they have access to now that they may not have had before. And it's just such a beautiful opportunity to be a part of that. And and so one of the reasons that I continue to serve in that way, also it is my path, and I believe it's important as human beings that we do have a place that we are devoted to. It doesn't have to be a spiritual or religious place or anything like that. If it's something that you can be of service and you truly are devoted to, it could be your family, it could be your pets, it could be plants, whatever, that allows you to feel as though you're serving something bigger than yourself. I think that's an important aspect to this human experience. And it's interesting because I was just talking to someone earlier before I did this recording. We were talking about this idea that this whole human experience is just mind created. It's a state or a simulation or whatever. We have movies like The Matrix that mirror that concept. And whatever you believe about it, the reality that we've created in our minds is that we have a human experience, and we need to learn how to navigate that, regardless of the state that we are experiencing and that we're in. And so here we are in this human form, having all kinds of mixtures, like this great, epic recipe that's being made here, and different ingredients that get injected into our experience. And we get to choose how we want to show up, how we want to respond or react to it. And that is going to be something that we become even more aware of, because the big talk of this week happens to be the 2021st, this Jupiter Uranus conjunction, or as I like to say, canoodling, that is happening. We're already feeling the effects. So it may not happen on the exact days that Jupiter and Uranus are exactly conjunct, but what this means is that we have to pay attention to, and some of you have already shared some stories that we're having these sudden ahas, these sudden breakthroughs, and they're big, they're epic in many ways for us personally, maybe us collectively. I know that a lot of you may not enjoy watching the news or listening to the news, but it's good to check it for these kinds of events, because there could be some things that show up in our financial markets, because we're dealing with Taurus energy. So it's all this physicalness, there's possessions, there's physical aspects to our lives, our physical bodies, very earth-based, but finances is of earth energy, if you will, because it allows us to purchase items. It allows us to do things physically that we need to do, right? Like travel, things like that. And so, or belong to a gym, there might be something along those lines, so that we can go work out. Yeah, we need finances for that. So the energy that we're experiencing with this Uranus Taurus thing is that there are some dynamic breakthroughs, major breakthroughs, and major turning points that show up for us. So again, we're looking at major breakthroughs or turning points during these times. And I would say that, especially coming off of the new moon eclipse in Aries that we had on Monday, the 8th, that we're thinking in terms of, I'm ready to start something new in my life that's meaningful, that drives my passion, shows my individuation, shows the way that I can be more authentic of who I am. And that's very similar, complementary to the Uranus and Jupiter energy in the sign of Taurus, because Uranus is all about individuation as well. Just like with Aries being independent and that fearless kind of leader, Uranus appreciates the unusual and the way in which we navigate the I'm going to do things in my own way. But the difference with Aries versus Uranus energy is that, and Aries ruled by Mars, right? The difference between that, Mars is very much more of a individual of like, this is me, it's all about me, or I'm doing this for me. And then Uranus is, I'm doing this in my own way, but I want to do it in a way that complements humanity, that complements the collective, or complements the people that I call community. And so there's a different energy that comes along with it that's very complementary to I've got to be me. And now it's not just I've got to be me, it's I've got to be me in my own unique way. And I'm not going to make excuses for it anymore. If people don't like who I am and how I do things, well, then they're not the people I want to be around. And I think that's going to be pretty evident in our collective field too, because there's going to be more and more groups and people saying, I belong to this particular group, and it's an unusual group. I mentioned the whole, I believe that this state that is called human experience is mind created. It's a simulation, if you will, as I was talking with this person about, and that is a bit of an unusual thing, because a lot of people are very attached to the human experience. And so the idea that this is just a moment in time, it can be a foreign concept. It can be, people can look at me and think I'm crazy. I am, but I'm okay with that. And then there's going to be a lot of people who go, yeah, she's right. It is. At least that's my belief system. So anyways, I would say that part of what we're going to be working with on a regular basis moving forward is we're going to be working with ways in which we wake up and we recognize that I do play a part in creating this next piece of my reality. And I'm human, so I'm going to continue to need to navigate the human experience. So what does that look like? What does that mean? And I'll just keep coming back to, it's so important to ground. It's so important to stabilize ourselves in our sovereignty, in our connection with our own truth and our own trust in ourselves, as well as surrounding ourselves with the right environment, the right people, the right places. And if you are finding yourself stuck in a situation where you're not able to connect truly with your best version of yourself, then there's going to be quite a few shakeups that are suddenly going to occur, because this is all about being even more authentic and more real than ever before. And this is going to affect our reality, meaning our physicalness. I talk about the financial state. I talk about our possessions. I talk about, our plants, our physical body. All those things get shifted, and there's going to be some major breakthroughs with any of those areas of our lives. And now keep in mind that this is not an isolated thing. Now, it's an isolated event in the sense that Jupiter Uranus haven't had this kind of conjunction in Taurus since 1941. Okay. Now, it's because it doesn't happen that often. Jupiter Uranus does connect or conjunct in various signs, but the last time we had it in in Taurus was 1941. So this is a isolated event in that respect. However, these two planets are making aspects to our individual charts. So for instance, this is going to be an exact inconjunct or quincunx to my moon. So I get to explore, what does that mean for me when I'm looking at it from that aspect? It may also, for some of you, it may make a conjunction, where it's basically looking at each other. But I say looking at each other, it's really where backs are to each other. And it's like, well, who am I going to behave like? If it's my sun, is it going to energize me to, let's say you have a Taurus sun at 21 degrees, right? Is it going to energize me in a way that gives me that breakthrough of knowing who I am and how I express myself? Does it give me the courage I need to do some physical things in my life that make me a better person? or it could make a sextile, which is opportunities show up, or it can make a trine where it just becomes this very natural, free flowing energy where physical things occur that you have to respond to and that you get to see maybe manifest. This is a powerful manifestation time as well, which is another reason why it's really, really important to pay attention to what are we focusing on, because where attention goes, energy flows. So think of it that way. The biggest thing with the Jupiter Uranus piece is, remember, Jupiter expands. It's our largest planet. It's one of fortune, good fortune. It's also luck. It's also it's a benefic, which means that it wants to give us a lot of things, and it, like I say, it expands. We do have the shadow side of overindulgence, or maybe there's a bit of exaggeration that can happen. But then also with Uranus, anything goes. There's a lot of unpredictability. And I would say that many of you, and myself included, who has been waiting for something to happen where it's just like, okay, I give up, nothing's ever going to occur for this particular thing, that with Uranus involved, it suddenly shows up, but in an unusual way, and one that we didn't even plan for, and it's very unexpected of how it gets triggered, or what triggers that. So those are some things that you'll be paying attention to, and we'll get to talk about. I'd love to hear the stories on your end of how that might show up for you. So the other thing I would I'll offer as well with this particular energy is that because Uranus is very much, and it's ruler of Aquarius, right? Uranus very much has a erratic kind of piece to it, but the energy itself, it's called the Great Severer, meaning it's here to cut through the BS. It's here to disrupt. It's a great disruptor, to disrupt our routines and our common way of doing things or thinking, even to shake us up, to wake us up. It's a great awakener, and it wakes us up so that we can make conscious choices instead of falling back and doing the same thing we've always done. We talk about the definition of insanity. This is an opportunity to break free. That's very Uranus energy. Break free of the status quo, the mundane. Where have we gotten complacent? Where have we gotten lazy? And then with Jupiter there, it's just going to expand it. It's going to become so pronounced. And yes, it may be uncomfortable, but at the same time, it can also be a fulfillment of wishes that come in a very unusual way. So, I jokingly say, be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. And then what are you going to do with it? So wish upon a star. In tarot, Uranus rules, Aquarius rules, or is the star is the card associated with Uranus and Aquarius. And so wish upon a star. Give yourself over to dreaming and to hoping and wishing. Just watch that we don't get attached to how that shows up, because that's the piece that is going to be extremely unpredictable. All right, you guys, I really hope this helps. I know there's other energies, of course, with Mercury retrograde. I do have to, let me just touch on that for a second, is that I have witnessed some interesting miscommunications or things happening technologically for me that is very Mercury retrograde. I'm going to blame the planet, if you will. It's not really that the planet's doing anything, but the energy right now is more pronounced, where miscommunications can happen, misunderstandings. There's a lot of, oops, okay, let me practice some self-forgiveness here. That also is occurring. Some car transportation stuff that's happening for a lot of people. But what I can say is that we will most likely in the next week, especially with that Jupiter-Uranus conjunction happening, will most likely be revisiting some conversations of the past that give us greater enlightenment. And I would say stay pleasantly surprised at the outcome. Okay, I really hope this helps. Please like, subscribe, share, comment. Come find me at jamiedawn.com, and I look forward to working with you. Have a great week, everyone.